Never would I have thought when this season got underway and the Sixers were 13 games through their regular season schedule, would we be sitting here talking about a 2-11 team, no matter how many games the All-Stars have missed. But here we are on November 18th with a 2-11 squad, and it's bad. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by our good friends from Bet365. And we'll get to them a little bit later, of course, with everything that we did with the pregame betting. But the postgame show is brought to you by Bet365, our great presenting partner here. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365, and neither is this basketball team at the ordinary part.
My contributions to the show tonight, presented by our friends with the blue cans, Coors Light.
Well, you have at it, man, because you're cracking open that blue can right now.
Mine's already open.
Everybody, welcome.
They're not even a sponsor today. We just need it.
Brianna, all of you, and
we're
you
choosing
are ticked
chill
off.
over here.
Say what you have to say in the chat, everybody. Jake is already super chatting with us. We have so many people with thoughts that want to get off their chest. 2-11 basketball team, Derek. Did not expect this.
Can I just...
Please do.
Do you know how badly they got outscored on second chance points? 18-0. By the way, we were told we were allowed
They
to
got
use
outscored so
adult
bad
language.
you spelled my name Kyle N-E-Y-U back
Who
on
cares?
Twitter tonight.
Who cares? 18-0 on second chance points. Are you? It's what? So like we were sitting here watching the game, the entire first half. Like, hey, the process on the offense is looking okay. They're getting good shots. They just need to. And you will miss good shots every now and then, but you've got to find a way to win even on your off nights. They got outscored 18-0 on second chance points. How do you even do that? How is that possible?
Because you have a franchise player who can't move right now, can't or won't move right now. And he happens to be the guy that on most possessions is supposed to be the closest man to the basket on both ends, right?
But even still, he didn't play for 17 minutes. You can't get a second chance point in those 17 minutes?
You are not wrong.
That's what Andre Drummond does as offensive
Let me
rebound.
just point something out.
Go ahead.
Can you conceptualize how dark it would be right now if the Miami Heat simply drafted Jared McCain at 15?
Well, in a couple years back, they had a chance to draft
there was
Tyrese
a
Maxey.
report that they were taking Jared McCain moments before they took Khalil Ware.
That is right. Yeah.
Jake Fisher got intel that they were going to take McCain, retracted that, and it's like, hey, they're taking Ware. Can you fucking imagine how horrible everyone would feel? Because nobody feels good right now, right? I think this is the darkest it has been for the fan base in quite a while. Certainly, I think since the Boston series, I would think. That'd be my estimation of where everyone is at right now.
And with real frustration.
And it would be so much worse if they weren't getting one of the best rookie performances of the season so far and look like they have a guy that might give them a bridge to a next era. Because what we're looking at right now, we can get into the rest of the roster, right? As Derek said, the offensive process at times look good. They're creating open threes, and we'll get into how the roster is set up. But the bottom line is that their two 30-plus-year-old stars do not look capable of being labeled with the word star, right? Paul George scores 12 points in the first quarter, right? At least in his first shift. Yeah. Looks pretty good, is disruptive defensively. He has had exactly one good shooting game so far this year. And tonight was not, we talked in the early games, the shot quality is going to change. He's going to play next to these other guys. The world's going to open up. The shots are going to open up. He was bricking open threes tonight, right? This is not Paul George pulling up for contested pull-up jumpers in Jimmy Butler's face and, hey, you just can't make some of these at the end of the game. This is Paul George continuing a trend of not being able to make anything. More concerning right now is that Joel Embiid, and I know that he came in with an illness. I know this is game number 3 of the season for him. And I've seen the version of Joel that sputters through the opening stretch of games, right? He has stopped playing preseasons. He's had injuries in preseasons or ailments that he's dealing with that he starts slow, right? But nothing looks right for him right now. There were 2 mid-range jumpers that he took in the second half where his legs and his arms are moving in basically 2 different directions at the same time. Something as simple and something as essential to his game as his mid-range shot, the shot that basically made him an MVP, is a fucking mess right now. And that's compounded by the fact he can't go by guys. He is not capable of driving past people. He can't leverage his strength. He does not have the speed, and he does not have the trust in his lower body right now. Maybe that will change at some point, right? Maybe this is as simple as he didn't play for a couple months. He's not really in game shape, blah, 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 blah. And I do think that there was some decision-making stuff that I was happy to see tonight.
Yeah.
But the decision-making does not matter when, at the end of the day, right? Like, we can say Caleb Martin's got to make threes and is not a shooter. They don't have enough shooting on the roster. And all that's very true. But in the past, when they have had issues with their roster, when it has been imperfect, when they've had to wait for, the other star player to return, Joel Embiid has at least been capable of looking like a star player. He doesn't look anything or anywhere close to that right now. That is concern number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And until it changes, your expectations for the season should probably be lowered by 2 or 3 tiers, because you can believe in Tyrese Maxey as future star. You can even believe Paul George is going to bounce back. Without that dude, without Joel Embiid being miles better than he is right now, they are fucked, plain and simple.
No, I didn't. For much of that second half, I didn't even realize he was on the floor. Like, that was as anonymous as Joel Embiid has been since maybe that Raptors game when he didn't score a point. And look, I do think he made some decent passes. And at the end, it was garbage time, but whatever. They're double teaming him. He didn't do anything to deserve being double teamed. He just, he looks so like lacking confidence in that knee. And look, he hasn't looked confident in 8 months now. Like, I don't want to say that because he had some really good moments in the Knicks series. But like, he has, you look at the Olympics, you look at the start of the season, he just looks so shook by that knee injury and so little trust in it. This was again like his first game back. He looked like he was not going to test that. And he had some moments defensively that block attempt where he ended up going like 4 rows up into the stands where he moved well. But for the most part, he just didn't push the issue at all. And they're not good enough right now for him to not be an impact player. And maybe that's too much to put on him coming back and being sick. But gosh, they're 2-11. Like, they need to pull out a win here, and it's just incredibly frustrating. And I don't know if I'm just a glutton for punishment. I don't know if I'm an eternal optimist. I don't think I am, but I'm not ready to completely give up yet. But man, I need just something to cling to, something that's not a 20. It is wild how on a team with 3 max contract players, 2 of them are on the wrong side of 30. The one player you really count on and you really have confidence in each and every night is a 20-year-old rookie who's on his 3rd start. And it's not just that he's making shots. It's not just that he's the only one on the team right now that can pass. It's that he's out there competing each and every night. He's out there adjusting each and every night. He's learning from what he can, from his game experiences and what the defense is giving him and making adjustments. And he seems like he's the only one who's really doing that. And it's on the one hand, I'm glad that Miami made a decision that they did. I'm glad that he's on the roster and in the program, so to speak. We've got a hockey show going on right down the hall, so maybe I'll bust out with some hockey euphemisms. But man,
they need some jam right now.
they
shout out Peter Laviolette.
They're getting so little from their veterans. It's wild.
Put my glasses on, man, because I got a lot to say.
Do you see a made 3-pointer with those glasses? Because maybe you should wear them more often if so.
I don't. So, number 1, they missed Tyrese Maxey badly. That's so
abundantly
obvious.
clear.
I don't need my glasses to see that.
Yes.
So obvious. 2, this team stinks. 3, the fact that they are 2-11 with both Paul George and Joel Embiid out there on the floor. And at this point, it's not about Paul George trying to acclimate himself with the rest of the team, including Joel Embiid, because of the fact that Joel Embiid is not himself right now. So while you're trying to get him into the flow of things, the one that really needs to get it going and pick up things for this basketball team is Paul George. He is the more healthy one. He is the one that, even though on the plus side of 30, we do believe that it looks like he can still do certain things until he gets himself in trouble. Yeah, he's missing wide open threes. As Derek said, those things happen. But when we saw in that first half, the one sequence on the end of the floor where they had a double team on Embiid on the right side of the floor, he kicked it to Paul George to swung it now to whoever, Kelly Oubre over to Jared McCain, bounce pass in the corner to Caleb Martin. That was a perfect possession right there for the Philadelphia 76ers. And at that point, they were humming at that point of the basketball game, got up by as much as 19. Then it all went away. No matter who was in the game or how they were doing it, we all felt it about to happen. And that's when you know you have a bad basketball team. It's when are they going to screw this up next, and how are they going to do it this time? That time, they were up 19, and by the time you look up, now they're only up by 2. They extended a little bit for halftime, and then when the third quarter starts, as Derek pointed out, they scored 16 points, and Tyler Hero equaled their scoring output in the quarter by himself because of, again, the third quarter kicking them in the you-know-what. This team stinks right now. They cannot make shots. They cannot dribble. They cannot make sound basketball decisions.
Can't inbound the ball.
They cannot inbound the ball 3 times. The first one was Kyle was screaming about the Kyle Lowry timeout on the inbound plays. After a timeout. Exactly. So how does that happen? Then what do they do when they get it in? They turn the ball over. They do it again later on where they had 2 times with a 5-second violation and then another turnover because they were forced to throw it in, so they didn't get another 5-second violation. Everything is going wrong with this basketball team right now. I did not expect us to be here 13 games in. Can things turn around? Sure they can. But they seem, outside of one player, Jared McCain, they seem so unsure of themselves. And then they're unsure of themselves as a unit together, and they cannot figure out how to play basketball and make winning basketball plays for 48 minutes and pull out a victory. Their 2 wins are in overtime, folks, against Indiana on the road and Charlotte at home. That is bad.
A Charlotte team that had to play Grant
really
Williams
bad
at center
and
for
also,
long stretches of that
we're
game.
We're up by 18 points in that game. This is really bad right now. So as you saw our thumbnail of what is going on with this basketball team right now? We haven't even gotten to the head coach. We'll get to everybody else. They're starting to really look disinterested out there on the floor. And they are 9 games under 500 with Memphis on Wednesday. And we don't know when Tyrese Maxey is coming back. No matter what he's being evaluated for, we don't know when he's coming back. And is he going to save it? Because is Embiid going to be playing? Is Paul George going to hit shots? Are you going to get a good contribution from Kelly Oubre, who is just running into everybody like he's a running back and turning the football over? What is happening with this basketball team right now?
Kevin Love, who can't clear a piece of paper at the rim.
Exactly. So, folks, what is going on with this basketball team?
They missed. This blows my mind. They missed
unbelievable
49 shots. They got 2 offensive rebounds and no second. You get more than 2 offensive rebounds by accident when you miss 49 shots.
Well, hey, at least they paid a backup center this summer whose whole thing is rebounding. That's his whole thing. Here's what I want to. Devon wants to defer the Nick Nurse conversation a little bit. It sounds like I want to center this right now before we move any further. I think Nick Nurse should pay real close attention to what is happening here because I don't necessarily blame him for what has happened. I don't think he's the reason that they created a ton of open threes and missed a ton of open threes tonight, right? But I do think as you get deeper into this season, and it's 2-11, it could be 2-12, it could continue to spiral, and you look at there is no urgency from this group right now, right? This group knew they were coming into this game 2-10. Joel Embiid was doubtful to play, and all of a sudden is playing. So on some level understands there is an urgency to turn this shit around right now, right? And when push came to shove in the second half, as Derek is laying out these hustle points numbers, the offensive rebounding or lack thereof, these guys got punked. They got beat up and they gave up like that. It's as simple as that, right? And it's a lot easier to give up when you can't make shots, right? I say it all the time. Eventually, the floor just gives out and you just say, what the hell am I supposed to do? We can't do anything right. The effort's not there. But if the effort is not there, if you're not creative on offense, the players are going to start looking around and saying, what the hell am I doing here? What the hell are you doing to help this situation? And if this continues to spiral and they continually get beat up in the third quarter during close games and they get pulled away from every single time, you are running the risk of real mutiny before Christmas happens, right? So these guys need to be very careful, from Nick Nurse all through the players on the roster, because the longer this goes, the more this is going to turn into, hey, that's this guy's fault. That's that guy's fault. Don't look at me. I'm doing my job. He's missing shots. I'm just doing my job. Well, I'm just doing my job on defense, and you're not getting there. When this turns into a blame game, this shit is done with. And the reason I brought up on our pregame show today, Draymond Green over the weekend said the Sixers already have a huge task in front of them, right? The guys who are the core players of this team have never won a title, have never climbed the mountain, on most levels do not understand what it takes. Now you add the level of scrutiny that they are going to face for months, potentially, until they somehow climb out of this hole that they dug themselves, is going to add pressure to everything they do, everything they say. Take Paul George's first game, for example. He came back and on night one told the media with a dead serious face, I didn't know the score on the final possession. That was a thing that you could laugh off when it's like 5 games into the season. Nobody's fucking laughing now. So get it together. That's the bottom line.
Blame game, Kyle.
I'm laughing, but that's mostly because I'm dead
in the first
inside,
quarter
so.
when Embiid and Jared McCain could not connect on that pass right there in the middle of the floor, and you saw it where the steals happened. Those were the early turnovers from McCain, but you could see Joel's body language. Maybe he was talking to officials, but maybe he was also looking to the sideline like, yo, what is he doing right now of making this pass? And at the end of the game, folks, I don't know if you saw, Derek and Kyle got up because they were doing their things with the writing and all, and I was looking at the television, and as the guys were walking off the floor, Kyle Lowry and Joel Embiid were sitting at the end of the bench together, and it was an animated conversation. They were talking. Of course, you know exactly what they were talking about. We stink. How do we fix this problem here right now? And what is going on? And that's exactly where they are. 2 veterans. One, of course, who we know how Kyle Lowry is, a very vocal leader, the one we talk about having that vet in that locker room. They need to have a real conversation to make sure that they are ready to go on Wednesday against the Memphis Grizzlies. And look, folks,
they could be ready and they still might lose because that team's straight up better than them.
Exactly.
It's really just, even if Memphis isn't healthy, Memphis finds ways to win, right? They've had guys out and they still manufacture ways to win. You have most of the roster available. You have ostensibly, at the very least, the guys who are supposed to be the first and third best player and the entire rest of the roster available. And you're telling me you are incapable of winning games where you're up by 19 points in the first half? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're the only team that looks at, got one guy out tonight, might as well throw it away, right? Like that's just, it's an insane position to be in as a basketball team. There is no excuse for how they've played so far. None.
They lost by 17 to a team that shot 41% from the field and 29% from 3.
And by the way, we're about a half hour removed from game time. Nick Nurse still has not talked to reporters.
Paint off the walls, man, in that locker room. These guys are trying to choose chill, but it's not working, even though we love Coors Light. When we come back, we'll talk more about what happened One good, of course, Jared McCain. We'll get to our player of the game. You already know who that is, and we'll talk about the rest.
The easiest selection in the history.
He's running away with it, isn't it,
games.
Derek? He's running away with it. We'll talk about it more on the other side right here, PHLY Sixers Podcast. All right, I know how you you forget about basketball tonight, and you know what? Go to the bedroom. It's time. It's Monday. You had a tough day of work, and your basketball team stinks right now. Go pop that blue pill. Blue Chew. Yes, baby. We got it covered. Blue Chew. Does it work? Is it worth it? Does it? Absolutely it works. Do you need to try it? Well, try it for a free month trial and see. You're going to love it. Your partner's going to love it too. A night like tonight, you're frustrated, and she said, calm down. Calm down. It's okay.
Sixers aren't the only people with problems with being soft. You know?
You know what? You will not be soft at all. Strong and right. That's what you would be tonight after taking your Blue Chew. You could be missing out after a bad loss on the best sex of your life. And with Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman, because when you see that package has arrived, your package has arrived. No worries. That's all. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence. There's no confidence on the floor right now for the basketball team. But with Blue Chew, that can help you give your confidence where it counts the most. And we've got a special deal for the listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free, and you get after it. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. Strong and right.
I have this read started off with, while the Sixers are hunting down a ring. Not going to use that one today. But if you are in the market,
that's the old copy.
If you are in the market for a wedding ring, you're going to want to go to Golden Nugget Jewelers. Golden Nugget Jewelers is located at Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly. They are a family-owned and operated business since 1987. If you're getting engaged, they have a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. On top of that, you receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. But Golden Nugget is not just wedding jewelry. You can find watches, diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head over to goldennuggetjewelers.com to learn more.
It's the only way anyone around here is getting a ring this year. Jesus. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Bree, can we just get to the player of the game right now and just show the people the goods here? You know, the goods. Jared McCain.
Please, a break from me just yelling at everything and everyone.
Look at that. 20 points, 4 for 9 from 3, 50% from the floor, 4 assists. Again, those early turnovers. You know what, Kyle? I thought early that it was a similar problem like he had against Suggs against Orlando. He was a little off. He didn't look himself. He needed to get into a groove and get into a flow. Came out of the game, came back into the game, including those turnovers where he couldn't connect with Embiid. But once he got back in there, showed again why he is the best player out there on the floor for like the 5th consecutive game for the Sixers here as a 20-year-old rookie. That Derek continues to thank the Miami Heat. He's going to send them a Christmas card for not taking him at 15, allowing the Sixers to draft McCain at 16, and that's how good he is.
I'm going to send Pat Riley like a bouquet of flowers or something.
Man.
This is the only reason that these games have even been a little bit watchable, right? Is because they decided down there they'd rather have more of a project than wear.
The kid is good.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, Devon, early on, he's had struggles in a few games, right? Whether it's the shots not going down. Tonight it was a couple of turnovers that he threw passes away. But he generally has always come back and problem solved on the fly and adjusted to whatever Derek is doing with his microphone arm over there. And I think it's sad. It's good for him.
Yeah.
It's sad for the team that he's the guy that shows the most compete, the most composure, and the most ability to adapt to the game as it happens around him, right? So early in the game, Miami appeared to not read the scouting report on him, which is kind of crazy. They left him wide open for a pair of threes, and he cans those. And throughout the game, they then react to Jared McCain cooking some of their guys, right? He had that nice half spin move into the one-hand scoop layup. Yeah, the YMCA layup that we were talking about hating when people busted out on you. And as the game wears on, they're trapping him. They're hedging against him.
Jimmy
they're trying
Butler
to get the ball.
switching on him.
Yeah, they're trying to get the ball out of his
Hayward
hands.
Highsmith.
And generally, even in plays where it's like he's attacking a closeout, going off the dribble, or in a pretty confined space, he was almost always making the right pass at the right time to an open guy. Now, whether it's the right pass based on the fact that none of these guys can shoot, and I'd probably rather Jared force up a bunch of mid-range garbage than hit some of their open shooters right now, that's a different conversation. But the fact that this kid in this environment is just consistently making the right basketball plays, I know it hasn't mattered now in terms of the end results. That shows you that he is made of the right stuff, that his game IQ is already way ahead of a lot of guys that are his age that are frankly not even in the league, a lot of them right now.
Yeah, yep.
I've been so impressed with his floor game after having a lot of concerns about it dating back to Duke, but certainly after Summer League as well. He has been the only thing that's been saving us from just complete misery every night watching this team. And look, I cannot wait now, after saying I probably didn't want to see them ever play together. I cannot wait for him and Tyrese Maxey to get minutes together. Maybe it'll at least be watchable. They might lose, but they'll at least have two guys who are not making me want to rip my hair out as I'm watching the game.
He was legitimately the only one who didn't make me want to rip my hair out. No, it was encouraging because he came out and he looked, I won't say razzled, but he didn't look like he was, he looked a little
They
razzled.
got to him a little
He had
bit.
a couple bad calls, bad missed defensive rotation, couple passes that went off the mark, and he came back and he bounced back. And for much of the night, he was their only real source of being able to generate offense consistently. You felt when he was off the floor, you felt that loss. And a couple like that no dip three that he got off real quick in the corner is another one that's real nice to see. If the, top scorer ever gets his stuff together, I can say it, ever gets his shit together. I keep forgetting that we're allowed to tonight. And if the second top scorer returns, that will be really important.
They miss him.
He competed decently defensively, even if he got burned a bunch of times. That scoop layup was real fun to watch, but we shouldn't be resting all of our hopes on a 20-year-old rookie playing his 13th game and his third professional start. And as much as I would love to sit here and have a positive segment, it's still just he's the only one that I rely on, and oh man, is that terrifying.
Let me continue though, because when you talk about the scoop shot, both of you do. The one thing that we've been getting on him is finishing when the defense close out on him and he has to get it high off the glass or something. He had one where he did adjust and make one on the run where he got it high off the glass and banked it in. So even though that has been a struggle for him early, that's something that I'm sure they've been working on. He's seen it himself on film, and he came back here tonight. And while he didn't have to do it as much, the only time that I remember, at least right now and having in my notes, is when he did it. He made it over the outstretched arms of Bam Adebayo and the second defender, getting it high off the glass on that third level to bank it in. So that's another encouraging piece that is added to his offensive weaponry right now for what he has.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this right now. I said it to you guys during the game. If Kyle Lowry starts over this guy,
he will not.
When Tyrese Maxey returns, Daryl Morey should come down from the front office and fire Nick Nurse right there. Kyle Lowry should barely be in the rotation as it is. He is being wildly outplayed by this kid, and he's not even doing the things that are ostensibly the reasons you would play a vet, right? The positioning and, he's a good playmaker, and he knows all the plays. He knows how to run the offense. Well, he's not even doing any of that. He's missing a bunch of open threes. When he's the low man, he's so small and athletically challenged at this point in his career, he can't make any play on the ball. He's committing stupid fouls. He's the guy who had to call the timeout out of the timeout in the first half on a simple inbounds play. They're getting nothing. They're getting no benefit from playing a veteran there. If you want to say, hey, put a wing out there, right? Or just get someone bigger in the lineup, okay, you can talk me into that. If they go back to this caretaker Kyle Lowry point guard starting lineup with Tyrese Maxey back, I am going to lose my goddamn mind.
As opposed to
I will lose it.
having your mind fully intact.
I still
right
have
now.
it for the time being. It might be slowly leaking out of my ears as we watch this team. But I do think I'm of sound mind at this point. Kyle Lowry just cannot be anything more than like a 10, maybe 15-minute guy at this point.
Yeah.
He just cannot.
To Nick's credit, and this is probably the only thing I will give him credit for tonight, he did only play like 19 minutes tonight. I think you saw after the second half, or after the first half that he
19 minutes too many.
Problem was Eric Gordon was out there.
Well,
and,
yeah.
And
he's the one who, when McCain comes back, I wonder if Eric's just stapled to the bench. Or when Maxey comes back, I mean. But yeah, the problem is they've got a lot of old guys who make young guy mistakes. You have the drawbacks of aging in the fact that they can't move anymore, without the benefits of aging that their mind should be quicker. It's not great.
It's not great. It's not great. You know what's great? Our break here. It's great. It's needed. We need it right now. We have to talk about a few of our friends. They are great when we come back. We'll talk more about the Sixers. It was so bad tonight. We got our WTF moment of the night, strong and wrong of the night. We got it all covered. This one stunk. It was really bad. They're 2-11. We got you covered when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show.
Well, I can't imagine why you'd want to watch this godforsaken team in person, and pay for the privilege of doing so.
Good night.
But there are lots of great events around Philadelphia that do not involve watching this basketball team. So our friends at Game Time are here to hook you up. And Game Time Picks, their new feature, allows you to filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You use the Game Time app. They have so many different features that helps you separate from the other much worse apps where you can get your tickets. So Game Time Picks, they curate the tickets, push the priority up so you can make it easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They show you all-in pricing right away. When you toggle that feature, you don't have to wait until checkout. You don't have to go through 15 steps and put your credit card information in. You know exactly what that ticket costs the second that you open the app and go to the event that you want. Plus, you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And with Game Time's lowest price guarantee, they will credit you 110% of the difference if you can find a better deal elsewhere. And I bet you can. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Devon?
Game time. Whew, they need Cliff Levingston in the locker room to tear down some things in there. Oh, man. Well, I got to tell you talking about tearing down some things almost. Bam Adebayo had Joel Embiid spinning on this one play where it was a nice dribble move behind the back, hit the jump shot mid-range. And I was like, oh, please, Joel, don't hurt anything, because if you did, you're going to have to call my buddies from Rothman Orthopedics to make sure that they repair something else on you, because that was an ugly move. We've seen that move so many times as pickup basketball players, or maybe you play in an organized league or a game and you see that type of thing happen and you're like, oh, man, that's going to be tough. They need to go see a doctor, and Rothman Orthopedics is the place for you to go, or that you can direct someone to go to after they get juked like that and sent spiraling backwards off balance like Joel Embiid was based on that Adebayo play. And if you're looking for Rothman, they have 200 plus fellowship-trained physicians that subspecialize in specific areas of the body, and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder and elbow, foot and ankle, trauma and fracture care as well. Rothman proudly serves dozens of communities across Pennsylvania and New Jersey with 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers as well. Year over year, Rothman consistently performs among the highest volume of hip, knee, shoulder, and ankle replacements in the country. Joel Embiid got his ankle broke on that play. Over 60,000. That's the number right there. So for more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of their patients. So if you're like me and you needed to be checked out, or maybe someone in the NBA that gets hurt, you can direct them. Come to Philadelphia. Come this way, because Rothman Orthopedics has you covered, specialize in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Learn more and make an appointment today. I was over there earlier, just making sure, Final little checkup, make sure everything is good. It's all good. All good. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Fellas, we have a number of super chats that came rolling in right away. And maybe we should
People
start
are mad and want to be heard, and I get that.
You want to start with Jake M? Let's start with Jake M, Bree. Maybe I'm crazy, but to me, Joe is moving fine. He is moving way better than the Olympics, just isn't getting the ball in his usual spots and is gassed as soon as the second half starts after a break. It's odd.
So I think defensively, I can see it in spurts. I don't agree on offense. And when I went back and watched that Orlando game, despite the fact that he had 16 points in the first half and had some nice moments in that game, I think you see more moments where you can see the gears turning in his head as he's trying to make moves, or he turns a corner, he gets separation, and then it's like deer in the headlights type stuff. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to go try to dunk. I don't know if I want to try to hit a Euro. Like stuff that should be fluid and instantaneous and just like catch the ball, 1 or 2 steps, 1 dribble, layup, dunk, go through somebody. Everything looks hard for him right now. And that has been true a little bit in the past, but I've never seen him fighting himself like this, at least not in recent years, right? And again, I would go back, watch those jumpers that he took in the second half tonight.
Especially the one on the right on the wing.
I have to watch the actual video back myself, but that was as discombobulated as I can remember him looking on. And look, it's one thing. Sometimes he's trying to draw fouls and he'll look goofy, like arms are spreading out or the legs kicking out and he's looking at the ref. Those were just him not looking comfortable with himself and with his own game. So maybe he's moving okay at times, and I think that's more on the defensive end. You do see some good closeouts. You do see him playing up to the level at times against the pick and roll. In fact, I had a couple of those in my notes tonight. But the offensive side is just a complete mess. And that, I don't know what to make of that. Like, I can't really rationalize what I'm seeing on that end because it is not like the struggles we've seen from him when he has struggled there before.
Yeah, look, he has said repeatedly, both last spring, at the Olympics, and now here at the start of the season, that this injury is the most challenging one that he's had to come back from mentally. And he said, that it will take him some time. He said that as of a week ago. So I think at some point we should probably trust that this is a tough one for him to come back from mentally.
Yeah.
And you can see it. It seems like he is second guessing legitimately everything he does offensively. And when you do that, when it's not reactions, when you're, taking that second to process and think and second guess, you're going to be out of sorts. Now you combine that with the fact that he always looks out of sorts at the beginning of coming back. So it's amplified. You add in the fact that he hasn't really worked because he didn't really do much in training camp or in preseason. So he hasn't really played with pretty much anyone on this roster outside of Maxey, who, oh, by the way, hasn't played a second with him. So nobody is really on the same page.
And Oubre.
And Oubre, sure. But Oubre is so in his own head that it doesn't really
want to talk
matter.
Another guy who stunk this year.
And the fact that, he is not in game shape, and you very clearly see that in the second half. And I think it's just a combination of all that. Now, what I will take a little bit of solace in is that it doesn't look like he is completely lost it physically, because I do agree at times defensively when he's not thinking, when he's just reacting, he's moving decently. So it gives me some hope that he will get back, maybe not to, 70 points and MVP level, although I'm not going to throw it out there or dismiss it completely, but it gives me some hope. The question is, how long is it going to take, and do they still have a shot with this season? Because man, it is just like they were supposed to be built so that they could win minutes without Embiid, and they are nowhere close. And now he comes back, and he's not even close to being Embiid. And there's just, it is snowballing in a way that I did not expect the season to snowball. So yeah, I certainly think when he says this was a tough one for me to come back from mentally, we should believe him. I think when he says, that it's going to take me some time to fully trust it, we should believe him. I do think there is, like I said, a little bit of he's always out of sorts and out of rhythm when he comes back. And I think it's just a combination of 4 or 5 different factors that's making this really, really tough to watch.
You know what else we didn't get to earlier on that I think is worth bringing up here since we're on the Joel stuff? He was doubtful because of an illness to play this game until 20 minutes before the game, and then down 17 with like 4 minutes left. He's out there with a bunch of bench players.
To be fair, though, I thought that was probably his best effort of the night. It was the first time he actually tried to attack.
What the fuck is the plan? What are you doing? Like, you can't say, again, I feel like a broken record with this stuff, right? I've been hammering them for this all leading into the season, all preseason, all training camp, whenever we could talk about this, because they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. You cannot say that you are going to put the responsibility of getting him to April in one piece at the very top of your list. Say that he's sick. Say that he's doubtful to play. And it's like, oh my God, it was a great thing from Joel that he decided he can play and gut it out in this game. And then when the game is clearly lost, when you are screwed and you need to pack it up, try to fight another day, you have this guy out there with end of the bench players, back of the rotation players, with the game over with like 4 minutes left in the game. It is nonsensical. So either he wasn't sick, but I don't believe that's the case. I believe Joel was sick and gutted it out. Or you just are being irresponsible with someone who clearly is not as good as he needs to be right now. So I cannot stand the way they've handled him on it feels like every single decision they have made is wrong. I don't think they have made one correct decision so far regarding Joel Embiid.
I would guess, and this isn't me endorsing it, this is me just trying to guess what they were thinking. I would guess they're trying to give him some time to maybe play back into shape. That's the only thing I would think.
That's where I was going to go. I agree with both of you, because at this point, they're 2-11, and anything can happen, especially when he gets, to your point, when he gets in his own head like that, he's going to go out there and do something, especially against players that he has no business being on the floor with. He should be able to dominate them. He's going to get himself hurt in a spot like that. So I totally agree with both of you with what you were thinking about it.
I'm sure that's the rationale, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Absolutely. And look, he said it's going to take him some time, and it's going to take him some time. Having been there myself, not playing in an NBA game, I just know that when you get out there on the floor and you're trying to play again, you're in your head. So when Kyle, you brought it up earlier, being in your head, for a long time, that's a real thing for him to believe in. And I was encouraged when he made that one jumper in the first half from about 17 feet. He jabbed, took a couple of jab steps, and then he shot it, rose up and shot it, and he nailed it. And he was like, okay, there it is. Confidence. He's going to do it again when it comes back to it. You're not going to get a lot of those because they're not going to respect Jane, like the other players, like they do Maxey and Harden on those pick and rolls, and that pick and pops. So you're going to have to be ready to shoot it when you get it, especially if you're not going to explode off of that knee and go to the basket and do what you normally do, hit that jumper, consistently hit it. And when you do that, then maybe you can go to the lower block and work with your back to the basket, maybe get some of those baby hooks in, all of that stuff. It's going to take him some time. You can definitely see he's thinking about it, and thinking about it a lot on the offensive end, opposed to what he's doing on the defensive end. Next super chat that we do have here is from Miles Johnson. Morey punted a prime Embiid season for this. Well, that's been Kyle's been talking about.
Fair point and a prevailing sentiment. By the way, guess when Joel Embiid finally checked out of that game?
2:10.
What was the marker?
2:10.
1 minute and 2 seconds left.
102. All right.
In a game they lost by 17. You cannot sit here, look me in the face, and say the medical staff of this team has any fucking control over what this guy does. Just none. They are not a serious organization. A minute left in the game. You're getting blown out.
I have no response for that one. I have no response for that one. Let's go to Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. Can we trade for Ime Udoka, Sam Cassell, Larry Brown?
Will any of those guys turn their wings into shooters? Because if not, I'm not sure how much of a difference they're going to make.
Did Houston win tonight?
They might get the ball.
Houston lost to Milwaukee by a single point.
They've been rolling. Yeah,
but Houston's been good. They were one of my sleeper teams coming into the year.
Yep. Ime's got them playing.
They're playing very good.
Sorry, Davon. can't get one of those guys. Let's keep the Davon super chats going. He threw a couple of them at us tonight. Morey has been bad at building rosters. All caps. Still, we thought this roster was good coming into the season. We still haven't seen it fully healthy, but we also thought that you would be able to have good games when Joel Embiid did not play, or if one of the two are out, or one of the three are out, or if two of the three are out, you could still get a good performance, and it just has not been good. These guys, they need each other to be successful. Those older players and the role players, they most certainly need the other three guys on the floor at the same time. At least that's the way it seems as of right now. Davon continues with Jeff Doughton, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, 53 minutes, 3 for 14 from the floor for 7 points on the night.
Yeah, they sucked.
All right, cool.
Legitimately, the only one who didn't suck today was McCain.
Yeah.
It's like your star is not playing anywhere near close to a star. The third option that you gave, $50 million in hopes that he could rise up and be a second option in games that one of your two stars missed, didn't play anywhere close to that. Your role players stunk. The decision-making across the board was awful, but the 20-year-old almost carried you.
He did carry, yeah. I mean, you got a contribution from Paul George on his 18, but we haven't even talked about him.
I mean, we have. He had 12 points to start the game, and then
that was
did almost nothing.
That was it.
The disappointment with him is, look, I think he has been about what I expect as a creator, right? Like, I was not expecting him to come here and consistently get by guys. I was expecting him to make open threes, and I was expecting him to take more threes. If he's not going to do those things, his value is capped, right? Like, he can be a pretty good defender. He's creating a lot of turnovers. He's getting them out in transition because of that. But if he doesn't make threes, none of the other stuff really matters, right? The whole case for signing Paul George to the deal that you did is not only is he going to be a high efficiency shooter, he's going to be a high volume shooter. Well, the volume hasn't been high enough, and the efficiency's not even close. So other than that, everything's going great for Paul George.
One more from Davon. Has Nurse lost a team? Wouldn't be the first time.
I think it's too early to say. But by the way, Nick Nurse has still not appeared in front of the media.
Good.
An
Honestly,
hour after the game ended.
Good.
Now, in part, I can say good because I'm not the one waiting an hour.
That's right.
But I do think if he needs to light someone's ass on fire after the game, then good. Somebody has to. If they're not like, there should be a players only meeting at this point. Like, it's that bad.
Yeah.
That
said it earlier.
Look, I don't know what is happening right back there, what kind of things are being said, or even the nature of what is happening. But that in itself shows you how bad this is right now, and it could get worse. We could look. You want to be positive, Paul, tonight, and I don't.
Positive, Paul George.
Positive P. You could say maybe they have an angry meeting. And that's a turning point for this team. They get Maxey back Wednesday. They start to pull it together, having all three guys on the floor together. Or maybe it just goes down in flames, and this is the moment where it became clear they just don't have it. We'll find out soon enough.
Charlie Chaplin's wanted to donate to the show tonight. We appreciate it, Charlie Chaplin's. Maybe if there was something in the chat, we'll catch up. If not, throw something in there if you had to add something to the show, and we'll read Charlie Chaplin's thoughts here on the show as we go along. Corey, get Robert Williams out of Portland, please. We need someone who can protect the rim.
Another guy who can never stay healthy.
Yeah.
That'll solve all their problems.
Or shoot.
Or
That being said, would he be a better backup center? Of course. But like
100%. I like the man named Time Lord, but probably not.
The not staying healthy part's
it's a big deal.
Concern.
Pretty big deal. But I like him as a player. Here, I'm not sure he solves the problems that need solved.
Also, you're just not giving up picks for a backup center. They're not doing that.
Especially if he can't stay healthy.
Well, hey, listen, the way they've rebounded as a team, you might be able to talk me into we're just going back to trying to be bullies and playing the.
He'd somehow get here and forget how to rebound anyway, so who cares?
I guess that's true.
New name for Paul George from Martian Lynch. Passive P is the new name in the chat for Paul George. All right, Truth Teller Nick Nurse, Fraud Watch, has officially been elevated to Code Orange. Code Orange.
Here's the thing. Like, you could basically name any person in the organization not named Jared McCain. Yeah. And I'll even say Maxey because, Maxey, we're certainly not going to kill while he's out and injured. But other than McCain, you could point to every guy and say, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Daryl Morey didn't do good enough. Nick Nurse, not doing good enough. Joel Embiid, not good enough. Paul George, not good enough. It's everybody. Trying to pinpoint one person or one problem misses that everything's gone wrong. They are like one of the worst offensive teams in almost every single category. Every category. They can't shoot. They don't offensive rebound. They don't do anything.
Can't pass.
They're not a dangerous transition team. No. They're slow. Like,
that's a perfect time to bring in the WTF moment of the night. 3-on-1 fast break. Kyle Lowry gets the ball. Paul George to his right side, about to fill the lane. Look, he's thinking Kyle Lowry is going to take the middle of the floor, balance it out, even 3 lanes, 1 man back. Jared McCain's on the left. What does Kyle Lowry do? Throws the ball ahead. What am I doing here? Paul George is still running. He's not going to come back and get it. It's going to be a turnover. Kyle Lowry picks the ball up. It's a turnover because he passes it basically to himself. You had an easy.
That's the guy who's on the floor for veteran experience and intelligence.
And you know what he's thinking? The guy's in front of me, I'm going to throw it to him. But hey, he's thinking, you take the middle of the floor. Let's rock and roll. He's going to spray out to the 3-point line to find his spot. Jared McCain on the left. Turnover. No balance floor. Miami gets the ball, and it continues to go the opposite way for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Miami Heat work it out for a big-time 106-89 victory over the 76ers. Lance Smith, Super Chat. Man, George ain't been that player in a long time.
That I don't agree with.
But
he was an all-star last year.
Also, what do we talk? Because I don't think any of us necessarily expected him to come in here and carry an offense. No. We did expect him to come in here and make open shots.
I think he was referring to some earlier conversation where it's you get him in part to try to win games without Joel and be that guy, a number 2 in that situation. But he's markedly worse than last year. By a lot, right? Yeah. He is 10% under his 3-point numbers, right? He's averaging 16 points a game on a team that, by the way, on any given night has been without one of their top 2 options. So it's not he can't get his shots up because Joel, Tyrese, and him all have to eat. He's not getting shots up for no reason, essentially.
Yep. CJ Jones, either we be having one of the worst seasons of all time without an all-time rookie season by McCain, or we have a major coaching problem. Thank you, CJ. Thank you. The kid has been fantastic. He's been fantastic.
Nothing bad to say about Jared. I've had issues with the defense, but it's such a small problem relative to
especially when we talked about his defense being bad. We also looked at him as a 7-8 point per game scorer in his rookie season. Maybe have a night where he scores 20 plus a few times, knock down a couple of threes to get into double digits. He's averaging 25 points in the last.
Also, he's a rookie. He's going to stink defensively. All rookies stink defensively. Yeah. It's a thing that we'll care about eventually. I simply don't care right now. Partially because he's the only guy who I look at on a lot of these possessions who looks like he cares, who looks like he's trying to fight back against what is happening to them right now. So I have nothing bad to say about him. He's been great.
Not only is he averaging 25 points per game over the last 6, which is something that legitimately only 2 other rookies in the history of this franchise has ever done, but if you had a scale of players who knew what they were doing and gave a shit, he would rank very highly, if not at the top, of both of those scales. So yes, does he get beat one-on-one on the perimeter? Absolutely. Does he occasionally fall asleep? Yeah, defensively. Yeah, not as much as he did in the first couple games, but occasionally, sure. but he is the least of the concerns right now, by far.
No problem. Having a really good start. Should be rookie of the month for the Eastern Conference in the month of November because of how well he has played. Jay Flo, trade Embiid and rebuild.
I mean, so
they can't trade him this year, by the way, just for anybody who's not aware.
Ineligible to be traded until I think March, 6 months after signing the extension. So we'll just cut that conversation right there. But also, here's the thing. Either he rounds back in the form and plays at an MVP level, in which case you would never want to trade him and Daryl Morey wouldn't trade him, or he continues to look like he's nowhere near physically what he was last year, in which case nobody's trading for him on that extension.
Not happening. Scott checking in. Who is the leader of this team? Who is throwing things in the locker room? Well, Nick Nurse.
It should be all of them.
An hour after the game, Nick Nurse is in there going nuts, and it should be all of them. But I'd imagine Kyle Lowry has a voice in there. Joel Embiid should have a voice in there. I don't know, but again, saw those two talking at the end while they were still sitting on the bench together. Animated conversation. I hope that something is getting through to all of them after this disastrous start.
If you're talking about who to have the personality to do that, it would probably be Kyle Lowry. That would be
Lowry.
I was
gonna say.
I was trying to get Lowry and Nick Nurse. Those are the only two.
Well, they did officially.
They
had a team meeting, by the way. Tim Reynolds of the AP confirmed that down in Miami. So I hope it was productive.
Let's hope so. Matt with a super chat here. Can Paul George, Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, and Kelly Oubre at least be close on their missed three-point shots? This is a disgrace. Outside of McCain, this team is shooting 30% from the three-point line. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. No, they
Enough
stink.
said.
I would say this.
They
Caleb is maybe the only guy in that group that I'm not like, I want to put him on a rocket and launch him to the moon. I think the shooting has been a disaster, but in terms of the other stuff, he's done that way better than the rest of those guys.
When you mentioned giving a you know what and giving an effort, he cares.
He's towards the top.
Yeah, he cares. And even with his shot being ugly and talking about whatever issues that he has, which is why he's shooting the way he's shooting, he's still putting them up. So that's what you want to see. So appreciate the super chat. Jess, we saw Jess on Friday hanging out with us at Tier Nanogs. We appreciate Jess and Val and everybody coming out, hanging out. Kobe Cobes Kobe, we saw Gene there as well. Jess says, are we on the hashtag capture the flag movement yet? No.
It's not going to happen.
Not yet.
And it's just not going to happen. Eventually, Joel Embiid will play good basketball. I'm confident of that. I don't know if it's going to be MVP level good. I'm hopeful
it'll be good enough that they.
But it'll
won't
be good enough that unless he plays like 15 or fewer games, there's just no chance. Now, I won't lie. I was on Tankathon spinning a couple of wheels there to see if I could get the number one pick. But it's not going to happen.
Before we go back to the super chats, Misremembered in the chat says, Nurse too busy working on his piano covers for Mount Joy concerts to draw up plays. I got to say, buddy, you earned it with the way this team is playing right now.
And
Sorry.
Nurses,
Jared McCain, the TikToks are out the window. Nobody can TikTok your heart out. Nick Nurse, no more playing instruments until you win a fucking game.
Somebody in the chat said, McCain, no TikToks.
I don't want to hear. No I love. Rest in peace to the legend Prince. I don't want to hear Prince one more time until you win. You haven't earned the right to play Prince in that practice facility. Or the Rocky theme song, for that matter, because we hear that one too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's Misremembered. Appreciate that. Misremembered also had a super chat. We'll get to Misremembered in just a second, but we do want to tell everybody, make sure you sign up for the Die Hard program. You get to hear these guys yell. You get to see it in writing,
in written form.
AllPHLY.com. Go sign up. Like we had our event on Friday. You sign up and you have an opportunity to join us becoming a Die Hard member, and you find out through those events. We'll tell you ourselves on the show, but it's also on our events part of the page, allphly.com/events. You get the premium written content. You get a t-shirt as well, your choice. After you sign up to become a Die Hard member, Eagles, you get Bo, Zach, Fran, Les Bowen, all their written content. Charlie for the Flyers. They lost tonight, unfortunately. Jim Salisbury for the Phillies. We got you covered. Die Hard. Make sure you sign up. Become a member. AllPHLY.com. PHLY.com. Misremembered 72 in the super chat. The losses aren't even close. That has to mostly be Nick Nurse.
The only thing I will continue to say in defense of Nick Nurse, he doesn't shoot the ball.
He does not.
There were a lot of missed
They missed
threes.
a ton of open
Wide
threes.
open, too.
And that's
Wide
where, like,
open.
if you want to get on Morey, which is completely fair at this point, they build a roster that they essentially built in an assumption that the shooting from the combination of Maxey, George, and Joel was going to be enough to make up for whatever you don't have from shooters at the other positions. And that has not worked out so far. And one thing we have learned over the years is that when Joel Embiid does not have enough shooting around him, it can look pretty ugly at times.
I got nothing.
A lot
man.
of
I
deep
just got
sighs from Derek.
All right, let's go to Mello 3.0 on the super chat. Marcus Morris. Oh, we get the moment of the night. Kyle's back.
Our guy,
Marcus Morris
Philly legend.
would help with size and rebounding. I mean, shooting.
You want to talk about
rebounding.
somebody who would step up and
Fire
say
it up.
something in the locker room?
Fire it up. Oh, yeah, boy.
Marcus Morris might throw a right cross
I mean,
in that
some
locker room
say
right
something
now.
in the middle of the game.
Oh, some furniture moving with Marcus Morris back in the locker room.
I need a
Does they
steel
have an
chair
open
over
roster
somebody's
spot?
head.
He's
Open
cooked,
roster
though.
spot?
Yeah, I get it.
He's not cooked. His last game, he had 20 plus in the Cleveland Cavaliers elimination game. Come on, man. Against
No,
Boston.
his last game, he was playing at
Yeah.
Oh, it's
the
a
Rum
rum class.
Classic. Super. Balling out at the Rum.
Didn't expect the Marcus Morris moment of the night, but
Oh, my God.
never fails. It's part of the show. Thank you for that. When Davon, again, talking about the vocal leadership in the basketball team, says, well, that said, Maxey was the vocal leader in camp. So,
But Maxey's vocal in like uplifting and positive ways. I don't know if Maxey would get up in front of everyone and like curse and scream and try to fire him up that way. Like everybody leads in a different way. I don't think Maxey would be taking the charge in the locker room tonight.
So I maybe we're splitting hairs here, but I do think that, like, I'm trying to put this in a way that's not inflammatory. Some of these guys just kind of have loser energy, and I don't think he does.
No, he definitely
and
does.
so
I
I
agree with
think
that.
he would be inclined, even though he hasn't been playing, and that takes the sting out a little bit of his words. I think he would be inclined to be like, "This is embarrassing." If you have a team meet, I don't think he's going around
he's
night
not
to
yelling
night
and
like
screaming.
knocking heads together
He's saying
and
it
whatever.
the way you just said.
But I think tonight in a team meeting setting where they take an hour after a game, I don't think he would be shy, and I think he would say what needs to be said.
But he's
to
the balance,
everybody.
because when you have Nurse or Lowry, let's say, yelling in the locker room,
Yeah.
he's the one that's going to come back and say, hey, guys, we know what we got to do. We heard all that. We know what we have to do in the Tyrese Maxey way. Whether it goes a long way or not, who knows? It may be beyond his voice at this point because they're 2-11. And you know, the great part of his leadership, too, is he's on the bench. He's traveling with the team. He's still there being encouraging on the sidelines to Jared McCain, the vets, everybody. And he's doing his part. They're still missing those shots, though. They're still turning committing those turnovers. They're still lacking in effort. He needs his leadership will be there when he gets back on the floor, saying those things while also making shots, making those passes, and showing through his play overall. Final super chat, Jake M. Why did Morey give Joe that extension? It's not like Joe was a threat to leave.
I think it's a fair question.
Fair question, but you were going to give it to him.
Again, this isn't me endorsing the explanation. This is me trying to say what I think the explanation would be. I think Morey wants his superstars to be happy and thinks that if they're happy, he will get the best version of them. And I think Morey is going to go, if he's going to ride this out with Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid comes back to form and is great, then he will get a chance to compete over the next 2 or 3 or however many years Joe has left. And if it doesn't, then he'll deal with that problem. You know, that's tomorrow's problem in Morey's mind. I think his number one goal is to keep Joel Embiid happy. Again, explanation, not an endorsement.
Oh, man. Let's laugh a little bit. Strong and wrong of the night.
I was going to say, at what?
Yeah.
Strong and wrong of the night. Who told Duncan Robinson that he was dunking on this play?
Oh, God.
The seas parted for you, Duncan Robinson. And while you had a blowout win, you made a couple of shots. Bree, let's show the people the strong and wrong of the night.
By the way, it might have been the Sixers' worst defensive possession of the night. In a game where they had a ton of bad ones.
The seas parted, my friends. And look at this.
Oh, my God.
Look at that.
That's just...
That was bad.
That's despicable.
That was
Did you
bad.
see... I don't know if it'll be in the clip. Jimmy Butler was so
shaking his head.
pissed.
Yes.
Oh.
Jimmy Butler was like, what is wrong with this guy, man?
Yeah, that was bad. Yes,
The
clap
guys on
it
the
up.
bench clapping.
Thomas Bryant, clap it up.
Maybe it was only the Sixers broadcast that caught it, because this looks like it was Miami's
Man.
broadcast. The Sixers broadcast, I dump on them all the time for various reasons. They did get a picture of
Thank you,
Jimmy's
Bree.
face, just like mean mugging.
Brian, that was bad though. That was bad. Brian, that was our strong and wrong of the night, presented by no one. Brian Knight says, "I just went on Tankathon to cope." He's right there with you.
Derek was spinning it up during the game.
Hit the button, and the Sixers, who have the worst record in the league, dropped to 3, jumped by Toronto.
I took about 10 spins on it. I got second once and first once.
Yeah. All right, folks.
But that really does show how much they flattened the lottery odds, because everybody had the second worst record coming into the night, and it still took 10 tries to get that first pick.
Second worst record. I mean, the worst record in the league, tied with Washington Wizards.
Always where you want to be.
Always where you want to be.
Where we want to be.
I think the Raptors won tonight, right? So the Raptors officially have more wins than the Sixers.
Yeah, that's why
now.
the Wizards and the Sixers are tied right
3
now.
3-12, the mighty Toronto Raptors.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, my
All right,
God.
man.
What
Folks,
are we doing here?
We got to say thank you, number one, and we got to get ready to say our goodbyes for the night. Our presenting sponsor, again, PHLY Sixers Postgame Show was presented by PHLY.
Bet365.
There you go. Download.
I know Devon's tired over there.
Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, it's world famous roll call time. We'll be back tomorrow.
We had a lot of you in here today.
3 o'clock, but let's say goodbye to everyone for hanging in and venting with us here tonight.
I hope to see many more of you in here tomorrow. Thank you for the commiserating we were able to do together, everybody. Thank you to all our people that are here. Remo K, Money Mar, Jeannie H, Noob.
What up, Noob?
Bootzilla.
Boots.
Brian Knight, Martian Lynch.
Knight.
Joaquin from Cherry Hill.
What up, Joaquin?
Jess.
Hey, Jess.
Phi Chi. My girl Winona.
Hey, Nona.
PHLY guy.
What up,
Misremembered
PHLY?
72.
We'd like to misremember this
Matt
losing
Webster.
streak.
Cannoli.
Holy cannoli. They need a win.
Neil Deaver. Philly 007. Aereo Speed Supply.
Whoa.
Lee Nguyen. AC Filla.
What up, AC?
Chris Lehman.
We need a trip to AC to get rid of
Simi
this.
B. Liam Stevens.
What up, Liam?
M. Scott Lawrence. Joseph Church.
Take him to church.
We got
Joseph.
Nat hanging out. We got Al the 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
Our guy hanging out.
Al wanted to know if we have any blue chews. Go ahead. Like and subscribe.
John
and sign
Peace. The peace sign.
Up. Peace sign.
The other piece.
Sign
Dominic.
up for it now. What up, Dom?
Who are our super chatters tonight? Bree. All right. Jake M. Davon. Mellow 3-point. Misremembered 72. Jess. Matt Webster. Scott Sotan. Charlie Chaplin. Loved your silent films. Jay Flo. CJ Jones. Lance Smith. Truth Teller Forion. Corey. Miles Johnson. And Jake M.
What up,
Again,
all of y'all? Thank you
to all of you for the super chats and your donations to the show. Thank you to Fresh Prince 215, John Water. And that's as far up as I can scroll. There were many of you here that are new faces. Some of you were trolling. Some of you are commiserating. We take all comers around here as long as you're respectful to the members of the community. You're all right with me. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And hit the thumbs up button to give the biggest thanks of all to the algorithm, but also to super producer Bree making it happen on the other side. We will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock to find some other reason to talk about this godforsaken basketball
talk
team.
about tomorrow?
We'll see you then. Good night.
The
Goodbye,
Washington Wizards.
and get home safe.
That's
See you,
what we're
everybody.
talking about.
We all silly like the mayor.